What's up guys, this is ScherBR talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll be talking about the Romancing Festival Final Empress banner, the second banner that will be released on today's reset, together with Leon and Aeneas. Well, this banner here also received some buffs, we already have the information, and I'll try to give the best preview I can, because right now our srsdb.com is having problems with the latest update, so I will not be able to use it to make a full review before the banners are live, so I will have to wait till the game updates. So in order to try to explain if these characters are worth or not, I'll give my best shot. Now we are here on Reddit in a post by Hans43. Once more, thank you so much for doing this amazing job. He translated the second video and we compared the JP versions to global buffs. They buffed her STR, Endurance, Will, and Charisma. Makes sense because she needed higher defensive status. She's now a full support unit with okay damage. And she can also self-heal, that's why they buffed her a little more Charisma. The first passive, she has 11 BP on start and recovers 2 BP by the end of a turn. Then the second, she decreases damage taken to everyone in the party, including herself, by 10%. And also has this heat up effect of 5% damage potential increase to everyone, including herself. 5% for 10 turns, reaching 50% damage increase in turn 10. Well, this can take lots of time to see any real increase. The problem is that, well, by turn 10 most fights are already settled and some bosses are solved in 8, 9, 10, 12 turns, not much more than that. So Saruin gives 50% shadow damage on turn 1, but it's exclusive to shadow. She tries to compensate this universality of being able to increase everyone's damage, but slowly. Not really impactful, but welcome. The third one, damage increases by 30%, and then damage taken reduces by 30% as well. So she has one damage reduction passive and will allow her to survive well. Moving on for skills, the first one is a recovery spell, so you need a holy element in your weapon. We just have one that got rerun from a past event, and it will heal. Okay, value is probably around 1.6 thousand, and grant a heat up effect, increasing damage potential by 10% for the whole fight. Well, you can kinda ignore the healing effect and just use this to increase the power of someone that you want, and I'll explain better later. The skill number 2 is a 7 BP full AoE slash and sun attack with C power. It's not even that strong, but it has 3 different effects. Morale down medium, decreasing damage taken by 25%. Morale up, increasing your damage potential by 25%. And action order up, that increases your speed in the fight without affecting agility. So we have 3 different things in a skill that costs 7. Now, she gets 6 BP per turn easily, no restriction. So she can use this as much as she wants because the effects last for 2 turns, right? Well, let's just talk about the third skill before we finish. It's a 10 BP triple S attack with slash and shadow damage, and it will recover her HP by around 1.4 thousand. And I have to say that you probably won't use this skill in the right parties, because Empress brings sustain, and you want to use her in a party that already has a main healer like Mirza, Polka, Muse, Tatyana, and let's talk about the real potential of the character. You use skill number 2, right? Then you have minus 10% damage from the passive, minus 25% damage because of morale down, and she will probably attack before the enemy with such a high agility. Then, on turn 2, you can actually use this sun spell to give 10% damage increase to your main nuker in the party. Then, on turn number 3, you have to return to use this skill because you want to apply morale down again. You don't want this to wear off. And then, on turn 4, you can use a very interesting inheritance. Christmas Moon from her Christmas style. That skill applies defense boost, decreasing damage taken by another 25%. And now, you will have it stacked with morale down. So, 3 layers of defense. One from passive, one from morale down, and another one from defense boost. That skill costs 12 BP, that's why you cannot start with it. But you can actually keep that skill effective easily. It lasts for 4 turns, the effect. So after turn 4, you have to go back to skill number 2. You still have enough BP, and then every 4 turns you use that defense boost again. It's very nice, especially for long fights. You have a very defensive setup with this version of Empress. She clashes with someone that is actually very useful as well. That is the Screwguard version of Gustave that has Let's Paint. Because Let's Paint gives you minus 15% in damage. He already has 20 from Screwguard. Then he gives Guard Up decreasing damage by 25. So in the end, Gustave has some off turns, but the good turns compensate. Then he increases damage in some turns by 80%. Most turns 60%. You can see that in the end, they will operate very similarly. I don't know when exactly Empress will be better, because I think Gustave has a better start than Empress, but they will be very, very similar. So I will be giving a triple S grade to this Empress with Inheritance of the Christmas skill. You can still inherit the full negation shield from Global X. She gets lots of BP, she will still be able to use it when she wants. But I do believe that the best setup will be with Christmas Moon to give 3 layers of defense. That is really good, and you can actually stack all these effects with Let's Paint Gustave if you want, but I don't know if you'll be able to slot those 2 characters together. But if you do, and if you need all this defense, it's gonna be amazing. But within time, I will see if she deserves to be placed on OP, just like a Let's Paint Gustave, together with Screwguard from his tank style. So the only detriment is that she takes too much time to build on her offensive capabilities besides the morale up medium. And Gustave has a better start up. He will give that morale up very large on turn 3, and that already changes a lot. And he also gives 2 BP to the party and buffs endurance. You don't need to do damage with your main supporter, so the fact that Empress does damage is not really that important. And you can still use the full negation shield with Inheritance from the Global Axis style, but I don't know. I believe that the triple defensive layer is where it is, and it's what makes the character really shine. I will be giving this character at least a triple S grade, but considering the Inheritance from the Christmas style, if you already have Tank Gustave with Let's Paint, you can skip because it's not really much different. You are getting almost the same value here. Moving on, we have Candy. Well, they buffed Candy, Endurance, and Will a little because he's a boss specialist needed, and they gave a little more agility, and you're gonna do a little more damage because of it. The first passive, we have a 50% chance to counter direct attacks with skill number 2. In the second part, you also have a 50% chance to follow up with skill number 2 when you are attacking, even when you are countering. That means that if you get directly attacked, you have a chance to counter, and that counter can trigger a chase. I believe, not entirely sure. Well, let's talk about skill number 2 later. Passive number 2, you have a 5% debuff to Dexterity and STR when attacking, and will also recover 1 BP. That's interesting because, like I just said, you can counter and you can chase. These effects will trigger together as well. Third one, damage taken will be reduced by 25% at all times, and on the start of a turn you get a Heat Up Medium, increasing damage potential by 10% and can trigger 5 times per battle. That means that on turn 5 you have 50% damage increase. It's the only damage passive from Candy, but this character is made to debuff. The damage potential is not that important. For skills, the first one is a full AoE blunt attack. That is just free, you don't need to use any BP, no additional effect, but it will still debuff Dexterity and STR by 5% and have that chance to trigger the chase. The second one is a 5 BP 8 power attack that has blunt and slash damage and has a chance to debuff STR and Dexterity by medium effect. That will be 20% on max level. You will already debuff Dexterity and STR by 5% with a guarantee. That means that when you land this attack, you have a chance to debuff 25%. The intelligence is good enough. It's very unlikely that it will not land debuffs based on the intelligence. So 25%, it's nice because you can still chase. On the chase, the value will be lower. It will be 20%, 5 from the passive, 15 from base level. But let's just do some math here. 25% from the skill itself, plus 20. 45% STR and dexterity buff in a single attack. And if he gets to counter, he buffs more times. That's amazing, and it's why the latest Tatyana and Medea exists. Many bosses will just use the fire weakness on the end of turn. It doesn't change, but you can still and may want to debuff them every turn. So you need higher values of debuff because they will be cleansed in the same turn. That's why Medea, Tatyana, and this version of Candy exists. Then we have the third skill, a triple S blunt attack that applies guard down medium, decreasing the defense of the enemy by 25%, and lasts for 3 turns. This is just so that you can help finishing the enemy, but you should just stick to use skill number 2. And you will probably have enough BP to use it almost all the time, because it costs 5, you have at least 4, and you still get BP back when chasing and countering. So the character is just stick to using this skill as much as possible. It works depending on the boss. I have to say that Medea is still better because she can debuff intelligence status. That will just be more important because it allows bosses to apply ailments on you. And if you get inflicted with ailments, you lose your defense capabilities. You can just kill your party, and it's the end of a fight sometimes. And just decreasing the damage output of an enemy. While good, you have alternatives. You can just use defense boosts, guard ups, rally downs, and you'll still be good to go. So this character will receive an SS Plus grade, much like Tatyana, because of the current game still using the fire weakness on every turn. It's still something that can work, but it's not essential. But if you already have Tatyana, you don't get much by getting this candy. I don't have Medea, but she is also better. That's why she was changed in the tier list for a triple S grade, since she still has morale down medium. That means that she has 2 different layers of decreasing the damage of an enemy. So this character receives an SS Plus grade in the tier list, much like Tatyana. Moving on, we have Darius, and they only buffed Will to 116%. That's insane. I believe it's the highest one in the game right now. If not, it's very close to. So damage is not the main thing about this Darius. It's just about allowing you to survive well and protect some of your party members. His agility is pretty bad, it doesn't really matter. Now for passives, the first one, you have a 37% chance to cover one ally that is being attacked and reduce that damage taken to yourself. Well, this is interesting because you may have a party with characters that don't have much sustain and sometimes will protect, but you cannot exactly know when this will happen. But it can allow you to survive a hit that will kill one of your party members. It's something that you can already do with Mask, and well, I don't think it's all that important, to be honest, with current game, but for X it makes sense since he can be used on Remembrance. Then besides this, he has this passive that recovers 1 BP when he is attacked. That's just like the latest version of Socho. That is very nice on Socho because he needs lots of VP to use a skill that costs 12, like a lot. So Darius does not need to get lots of VP, to be honest, but the more he gets, the more damage he will do. It's just that it's not really needed. Passive number 2, he gets 1 extra VP by the end of a turn and starts the fight with 12. So a 4 VP per turn, at least, and more when being attacked. Then there is Iron Wall Defense 7, decreasing damage taken by 50%. That's a new passive. We had Iron Wall Defense 6 that decreased 40% now. Iron Wall Defense 7 will decrease 50%. So very good since he already has good endurance and will. Moving on, skill number 1 is a 1 BP skill that will recover HP by around 200 and give him a guard up, decrease damage taken by 12%, lasts for 2 turns. It's another layer of defense. The second skill is very interesting. It's fast, support, 4 BP, he can use it anytime, and it will grant 2 damage blocks to the full party, and there's no turn limit. It was not like this on JP, and JP was not good. So remember Global Axe, Fire Empress, and her full negation shield? That one fully negates all sources of damage in that particular turn. This one will only negate 2 hits your allies take. Depending on the behavior of a boss, this can be even better than Final Empress Shield, but it's usually not. If a boss likes to use single target attacks and attacks between 2 or 3 times in a turn, for example, you can have these effects last for different characters for more than 1 turn. They will still have that damage block. But if a boss likes to use AoEs, and maybe 3 AoEs in the same turn, for example, you will lose the damage block and still get damage in the end. So, it depends on boss behavior. Usually, Final Empress Shield is still superior, even now when using it with the current Empress, because she has better BP generation. But this new support skill can also be better if a boss behavior is more about single target attacks that will allow some of your characters to survive better on start. And you can just use this 2 times in a row. Final Empress cannot use her shield 2 times in a row, so there's some benefit to it. Then skill number 3 is a triple S attack that is also fast and grants defense boost to himself that will decrease damage taken by 35%. Well, 35% and already 50% from overall defense, and there is also guarded up. So if you do not want to start with a damage block, you can just use this first to allow him to receive even less damage, and then use the guard up. When he protects someone, he's gonna take very, very low damage, much like Mask also does. So, I don't know, I would still prefer to usually use the damage block on start of most fights, unless it's a boss that nukes you on turn 7 or something. There's some scripted moves in some boss fights, like the Bird Apollo, the SaGa fight. Those fights have some very specific moments where a boss will nuke you, so having that damage block is nice. Now, there's just one interesting fact about Darius and his cover mechanic. If you are using Strumniken in the same party, he may just want to cover Strumniken. And you don't want Strumniken to be protected. You actually want him to get hit so that you buff all different status. So if you want to use those two together, it will be better to bring the first Darius to inherit this shield that can give you damage block. It's actually more interesting in my opinion. And since a lot of content can be soloed by Strumniken, some people will just defy the reason about having to summon for Darius or not. But even outside of Remembrance, this shield is actually something interesting to be used on the right moment. There's just one thing missing from this Darius: a taunt. Yes, Socho has taunt, even though Socho has lower defense capabilities. But that makes sense because in the end he has a big risk for a big payoff. This Darius could have do much more by taunting as well, so he would just have higher chances of being attacked without having to rely on a formation. You're much better now using a formation that increases the chances that Darius will be attacked, so that he does not really need to cover all the time. He's already getting hit himself. I believe that Darius now adds a lot of utility for X Remembrance. His first version already does, and you can even just inherit the damage block shield into the first Darius if you want that Darius to be a damage dealer and support unit. But if you are lacking more defense, bring this one, and you can even inherit a skill that is strong from his past style instead of using the defense boost version. But it doesn't change much. I think you are good to go with just using this defensive version and using that skill that applies defense boost instead. So you don't really require the first Darius to have this one on full potential. This Darius will receive a triple S grade as well. I am a little torn about his utility, but he is a good style nonetheless. Well, as soon as we get him and train him to see the full potential on boss fights, we may change his grade. But this banner is good. Yes, I can see all these characters having some utility. The thing is, they clash with other styles. Yeah, Darius clashes with Final Empress, clashes also with Building and Time Lord, but I believe he's better than those two. You don't really need another shield user besides Final Empress, but he adds more and can even be better. And if you already have the first Darius, investing on the second one just allows you to have more versatility. Candy clashes with Tatyana, and, well, Tatyana is not even that great. Medea is better, and, well, if you already have her, you know how good she can be. At least Candy governs different elements. And in the case of Final Empress, she clashes with Painter Gustave with Let's Paint, but she also clashes with Barbara. She also clashes with Undine more than Barbara, because Barbara is very squishy. But those that just got Undine may just feel like, well, I already have enough support, or those that already have Painter Gustave with Let's Paint will say, well, I have someone that operates very similar, I don't need another one. And if you are a veteran, you may just want to skip this banner because you have Mirza and Saruin's banner. They offers lots of value, a character that deals damage and heal, and the other one that deals damage and helps the party. They add new layers of utility when compared to characters that are more like side grades than upgrades to current strategies. I'm thinking about giving this banner a silver award, and I would recommend this more for veterans than newcomers. Newcomers should pull on Enya and Leon banner because there are 4 characters in that banner, and Leon is still very good to have, especially now, charging faster. But I will still make a full review, and my opinion may change. This is my first impression. What is yours? Please say here on the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you still haven't. And if you want to support the channel, there are links on the description. I hope to see you soon in the next one. Bye.